I just made this dog leash for Miss Moneypenny, and we're going to use it today. And this is not my first time making a dog leash. I love it. So grab some scraps. I'm going to show you how you can make your own leash for your favorite friend. The first thing you need is a swivel clasp for your leash. This attaches the leash to the collar or the harness. They come in different sizes, and whatever you pick, these are available on Amazon. You could take one from a previous leash you had if the fabric on the leash is worn off, shows wear and tear, or doesn't have the strength it did before. These are metal, so they last a very long time. This one I got on Amazon, and it is from, you want to measure where the fabric is going to attach, which will be this bottom portion right here. And this one, it's about 1 inch from the inside here to the inside here. This is the one I'm using today, and it came from a previous leash that Penny had. And from here to here, it measures just a little shy of 3/4 of an inch. Both work. You just want to make sure you have this item before you cut your fabric. For the fabric, you can use canvas, you can use denim, you can use quilting cotton, you can use cotton poplin. You want to make sure it's a woven fabric. And I am using some quilting cotton that I had left over from a layer cake. So these are 2.5 inch wide strips from a layer cake. I have 2 of them, and you want to measure how long you want your leash. The leash I am making, I need 70 inches of fabric. If you want a longer leash, just add on to it. This will equal about a 64-inch leash when it's all completed. So 70-inch leash, or 70 inches of fabric, equals about a 64-inch leash when it's all said and done. So it's just roughly over 5 feet. The most important part is the width of the fabric. I can use this 2.5 inch wide strip from a layer cake because I'm going to use the smaller swivel clip, and that is a little under 3/4 of an inch. You want to take the width of your swivel clip, multiply that by 4, and that is how wide you want your fabric. All these instructions will be on my blog, and there will be a link to that in the description box. The other item we're going to need is interfacing. I use fusible interfacing, and I cut it the same width as the leash, the fabric I'm using for the leash. So this is 2.5 inch fabric. This is 2.5 inch wide strips of fusible interfacing. And I based my width on the size of the hole in the swivel clip, just so we have it all clear. For instance, if I wanted to use the wider one that's 1 inch, I would want my strips to be 4 inches wide. I'm making my leash 70 inches long. So the very first step we're going to do is we're going to sew our strips of fabric together so we have the length that we're looking for. In my case, I'm looking for 70 inches. So I am going to sew these 2 strips together, and I'm going to trim it at the 70 inches. Okay, I have sewn 2 strips together, and when I did it, I did a 5/8 inch seam allowance. I did not trim off the selvage. So I'm just going to kind of tell you that up front. Did not trim it. I'm using white thread, so it might be hard to see, but you can definitely see the selvage on this piece here. What I'm going to do is next step is open it up, and right sides were together on that. Forgot to mention that. I'm going to press the seam allowance in one direction so they kind of overlap, and I'm going to do that so it adds extra strength. And after I do that, I'm going to take my strips of fusible interfacing, and I'm going to fuse it to the wrong side of the fabric. So they'll be fused to the wrong side of the fabric. And I will be overlapping the strips just slightly, maybe 1/4 of an inch. And the reason why I do that is just to make sure I add plenty of strength to this, because my dog, she does drag me and she pulls on her leash. So I want to make sure I have plenty of overlap, and I want it as strong as I can get it. So I'm going to go press this and then let it cool. Here is my very long strip of fabric, 70 inches long, sewn together. And on the back, I have ironed on my interfacing. And if you look carefully right here, you can see that there is a little overlap. And that's how I like it, because it adds a little bit more strength. Next step, it's more ironing. We're going to fold our leash lengthwise in half like this, and we're going to iron it. Also, it's in one long folded piece. It's similar to making bias tape, and then we're going to go in and we're going to fold it in half again on the inside. I'll show you that in a minute, but right now we're going to iron it in half. We have ironed this in half. Now I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to fold each side of the crease in half. So essentially, we're folding it in half and then in half again. But there's no raw edges exposed, as you can see once you do that. So we're going to iron this one more time after folding each edge into the crease equally. Okay, and now I have pressed it again. And let me just show you, here's the finished product. It's been folded. Basically, we have it in fourths. Our next step is we are going to stitch, top stitch each long end. Here, here, all the way down the long end. You can see where I had my chalk marker here. This is what it looks like on the other side. Top stitched. I'm going to apply some fray check to these edges just to prevent further fraying. And after I do that, I am going to insert my swivel. And we're going to fold this under about an inch. And then we're going to sew a square and put an X in the square. And here we are. The skinnier the leash is, the harder this is, believe it or not. But as you can see, I have stitched around, and there's more layers, so it might be helpful to use a hump jumper. But I stitched a box and then I stitched an X to really secure that closed and in place. And this goes end to end here with the clip, and that is also very helpful. The next step is we're going to go to the other end, and this is pretty much the last step. We're going to kind of repeat that process, but we're going to make sure we have a big enough loop for our handle. So we want this to be about 6 or 7 inches. And we're going to take that last inch and fold it in like so. And just however wide you want the handle of your leash to be. And in this case, it looks like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 7 inches. And we're going to repeat the process. I'm going to use some clips to clip this in place. And as you can see, so there's 3 layers. So there's 3 layers, and you're going to sew all 3 of them together. Do a box here around the outside and then an X on the inside just to secure it. And there you go. it becomes somewhat addictive making these leashes, to be honest with you. The handle is plenty for my hand or for somebody else that maybe has a thicker wrist. Plenty of wiggle room there. You can see all 3 layers of that have now been secured, and you can even see, hopefully, the X and then the box around that I stitched it. This one will be fine for my dog Penny. She does pull, but she is about 15 pounds, and we use a harness, and I think it's going to look lovely. Her harness is orange, so it might not match, but it's something that's very visible and I can see as we're walking. I hope you found that tutorial helpful, and thanks again for watching. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more tutorials and product reviews and pattern reviews in the future. Thank you.